Hello and welcome back to Deconstructed. I'm your host Sam Adamo McKenzie, and with me, as always, Parry Piro Pitchards. We've been away for a while. We're very sorry about that. You know, Harry was wanting to die in Prague Airport, and before that, we were wanting to die because we had to watch G2 win No, it's fine. Watching G2 wins fine. At least Hooksy was happy. But anyway, so normally here we talk about teams, but all the teams are a bit boring at the moment, to be honest. Yeah, look.
They're also playing a tournament. Doesn't help.
Well, they are playing a tournament. We could talk about that tournament and human rights records and certain things I heard today about certain players who aren't allowed to have certain flags on their jerseys. You'll never guess which flags they are. I guess we'll see that by the time they play their game. But anyway, instead we're going to talk about some CS2 news because it always gets views when we don't talk about a specific team. So let's do that. Let's talk about CS2 and the fact that the recent update suggests that matchmaking will now be MR12. It's the way that Counter-Strike used to be way back when, a lot closer to the game's initial release and even the release of Go. Like, it's a big change. It's a very big change. It stopped being that way because of the importance of pistol rounds and certain things to do with money bugs and economy at the time. And I'm going to say straight off the bat, I don't fucking like this. But Harry, what's your initial thoughts, mate?
I'm so surprised you don't like change. I'm absolutely shocked. I'm flabbergasted. You don't like change. Wow. But I don't know. I think, honestly, the games are so long. They're just so long. And I think...
Good.
Is it good? Because, okay, we're adults now. We have semi-jobs. They're nearly like normal jobs.
In Counter-Strike.
Did you ever actually want to sit down for 4 hours to watch Best of 3?
Do you remember that part of my job involves me sitting down and watching 3 Best of 3s in a day and then writing about them at the end of the day?
Yeah,
I don't mind it.
Yeah.
I don't mind.
But when it's not a blast event or something, and then it's just like a normal event, do you not think it's a bit long? Because I think it's the type of thing you don't want to end up being cricket where it becomes a second monitor sport. Sometimes a boring group stage, CSGO is a second monitor sport because the games are too long.
I disagree.
I just think only really good games actually capture my attention enough to be on my first monitor or on my TV.
No, but I think that is a consequence more. And this would be the same if it was NR12. It's more of a consequence of the fact that you and I have been watching CS for 6, 7, 8 years for you.
Longer.
8 years for you, right?
2015, 16. Yeah.
Right, so 8 years for you. That is more of a consequence of the fact that you've fucking seen it, mate. You've fucking seen it. And the fact is, yeah, okay, occasionally you'll get a random banger out of like Mouse versus Fnatic. And it's like, all right, that was good. But that was on your second monitor anyway, because you don't care about the teams. It's not a consequence of how long the games are. It's a consequence of the actual just ecosystem and the fact that, you know, it's like FaZe, right? Last year ago, FaZe, you're never having them on your second monitor. Last year ago?
No, of course not.
A year ago, you'd never have them on your second monitor. Now, every time. Every time. Because they're not interested anymore. But Cloud9, now. Cloud9 a year ago, second monitor. Maybe not for you. You're a bit strange. Cloud9 now, that's in front of me. Because it's interesting. It's not a consequence of the length of the games. It's a consequence of the fact that actually quite a lot of teams are just really boring to watch.
And I think that's always been a thing. I think there's always been mid-table teams who are less interesting. I think it's just a case of... But okay, that aside, the main reason I think it's not necessarily bad is because of the economy. I think games used to be decided by, what was it, like 5 or 6 gun rounds a half. Like, if we're actually being real, like pistol round used to be 3-0 every time, like before the economy changes. If they had a good end, obviously pistols were OP and shit, and there was always something wrong with the game. But most of the time, you got your 3-0 from the pistol, you won a gun round, they got no money, and then you won another gun round, and then you're 7-0 up. You won 2 gun rounds and you're 7-0 up. That was what CS used to be like. Like, games were shorter, and people always talk about saving and things like that. And yeah, saving makes it longer, But saving doesn't make it longer because you sat there watching them save. Saving makes it longer because there's competitive gun rounds every single round of the half, and there's 15 close rounds. Like, who fucking fully cares anymore? Astralis and VP do it like sometimes, and then they do a stacking spawn.
It's very rare that someone does that.
Yeah, like this games are, they're not just longer in length, they're longer in terms of what decides them. You need to win more gun rounds to win a game. And yes, that's a good thing. And I think maybe going back to MR12 is kind of not really fixing the right problem. It's kind of looking at it the wrong way. Like, I don't think it's a bad thing that there's more gun rounds. I think maybe if you do MR12, the way you'd get me on board is if you get rid of pistol rounds and start with 10k. That's the way you get me on board with MR12, I think.
So here's the thing with that. I don't disagree with that. I actually think it's correct. I just don't like it. I just don't like it. And it's not for like the sake of change or whatever, like me not liking change. Yeah, we know I don't like change. Like I'm just an arsehole. But I think that loses a lot of what makes Counter-Strike great. And the thing is with Valorant, because we're going to be talking about Valorant a lot this episode. Like we can't not.
Relevant.
The thing is with Valorant has pistol rounds. But the difference between Valorant and Counter-Strike is that on your first gun round in Valorant, which typically should be round 3 because it's kind of, or at least the last time I watched Valorant, it was odd to get a force buy on round 2 for whoever lost pistol, unless they already had a big lead. On your first gun round in Valorant, you will have all of your agents' abilities because that's how the economy is built.
Mm-hmm.
The issue with CS is and surely they recalibrate economy to accommodate for this change. But the issue is with CS is the way that CS is now is if, CT pistol, you lose CT pistol, you save the next round, your first gun round, you've got what? A smoke and a flash, a smoke and 2 flashes. Maybe you give up the M4 for a lesser gun so you can get more util. That is the biggest problem. It's not pistol rounds. Like, I don't think you take that away because I think you lose something from the game and you lose something that by losing pistol rounds, you lose that initial bump to a team that then, okay, if they do win the next gun round, now the other team's got to come back. That's what actually makes CS exciting. If you have people start at the level playing field, they'll probably be on the level playing field the whole time. And that will make the sport less interesting. It will make the sport less interesting to have less ego rounds and this type of thing. So I don't think pistol rounds are the problem. I think it's the way the economy is set up. Because at pro level CS, going into that first gun round, if the T side has full util and especially if they got a plan and like the way things work now, they could have a few Galils, maybe one MAC-10 left, but they've probably got AKs out and full util, and you're up against you have a worse buy on your first gun round. That is the bigger problem.
Yeah, I do like pistol rounds. There's a charm to pistol rounds that is kind of good, and it's that thing of like everyone assumes that double ecos are a bad thing, right? Like it feels kind of like unfair and whatever, but they've always been a part of CS. Like there's something to the idea that less is more when it comes to rounds mattering. Like those big rounds, like 12-12 these days is like you win, you probably go to 14-12, and then they have a bye again. Like it's not, but like 12-12, 2016, no one has any money in the bank. Like that if you win this round, like, you're probably going to win the game. Like it increases when there's 15 gun rounds, like a half. Rounds are less tense, they matter less because that is just how it works. Like if every round matters, then none of them do. It's that type of thing. It's big clutches can be wiped out the next round a lot more often than they used to be. Like I just think the economy is very, very bad. I don't like the way it works at all. I think the blue shell thing, like it's too easy to make comebacks in halves. It's obviously way too easy to be on T side economy wise. Like I know that's kind of the whole point. Is like, okay, the CTs have the map control and then the Ts have the economy, but it does feel a bit cheesy to me. I don't like the economy, and I think MR12 is a solution to the problem that the economy introduces, which is longer games, but probably not the solution I would have chosen. It's just like what else can you do? It's very difficult. Other than just rolling it back, and then everyone's going to be annoyed because like the new players and the Valorant players, they're not used to double ecos. They'll be upset. They'll be like, I had an AK 3.5 times. It's not fair. Like it's difficult for Valve, but I can see why MR12 is the solution they go for.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Like, we play a lot of CS. We know how much the economy burns. Like, it is horrible. You know, as the fucking CT side, there is a lot of rounds you will win where actually you're just better off fucking half buying or saving in the next round. You'll never do it because it feels wrong to do it, but you are better off doing it. You will end up with a better buy further on if you do it. And with how it is right now, you need 3 players surviving every single round, or eventually
On CT side, yeah.
it will bite you. Yeah, on CT side, or eventually it will bite you, and that, you know, it does suck. However, and you might turn around now and give a perfect way to fix this instead of MR12. I don't think there's that much you can do to fix the current economy. I think it's the best it has been for a while. And the long games, it's like a lot of it, I don't think any of it is the consequence of, okay, yeah, no, of course there's some degree of economy there. I think a lot of it's down to playstyle and the ways it's developed. I think we're now just in the natural progression of what Astralis started in 2018. And if you think about like CS, when we jumped into CS, right? When I jumped into CS, one of the first things that Weld ever told me about Pro CS was, haha, you'll really find Navi funny. They lose to the time all the time. Because that was like Zeus's thing, right? Like Zeus would run down the clock and then he'd exec. Now a lot of teams do that, where they didn't do that in the past. It's just the natural progression of playstyle, and I don't think it's necessarily caused by the economy. So I wouldn't do much to change it. Of course, there's little things to do. I'd maybe make the Molotov less expensive for the CT side. I'd absolutely make the M4A4 less expensive. I'd maybe consider playing around with the CT side, starting with a higher loss bonus. But I wouldn't do much unless you've got some perfect solution.
I just think it's bullshit that you're rewarded for losing so much. That's what I don't like. I think like getting 3,400 when you've lost, like I know that like max loss bonus is whatever, it is what it is. Like you kind of want that at some point, but it feels like bullshit when you're dominate someone on CT side and you lose 2 rounds and then they've just got infinite money. Like I just don't like how many gun rounds there are. Like I know that's supposed to be a good thing. You're supposed to love it. I just don't like it. I'm just not on board with it. I think it makes the game worse.
Well, yeah, but then you've also advocated for the entire thing to essentially be gun rounds with ML12.
I know. Honestly, more I think about it, don't know why I've said that. This 10k thing is the bad thing. I think
that's always been
10k is bad.
Anyone who's ever put that out there does not think through about why they enjoy Counter-Strike. Like it's a phenomenally bad idea. And you haven't watched much Valorant. You never really got into it. I had a couple of days where I was doing match reports and shit, and other than that, I got into it. The thing that separates Valorant from CS isn't just the abilities, because even playing the game, a comeback on Valorant does not feel the same as a comeback on CS, because the thing with it going to MR15, whenever it went to MR15, I looked and they were playing some MR15 tournaments in 2005. I thought it was after that, but it was like fucking ages ago. MR15 has become such a captivating way for Counter-Strike to be played, to be viewed, and Valorant misses it. It doesn't have the intensity that CS has because Valorant misses all of that. And I think it would be a huge shame to lose that from Counter-Strike.
But why? Like, what is it about having 3 extra rounds at the end of the half that like makes it? Is it just longer games? You just want like,
I
just
honestly
want combos to mean more, or like what?
I can't tell you the exact reason.
You just say quoi?
Yeah, it's just it's one of those things. It's just as you watch it, as you play it, as you experience it, the experience is just different. I loved Valorant for a time. I was going to never fucking touch Counter-Strike again, but it didn't have the same thing, and a lot of it was because, like, what's the equivalent, like 10-10 maybe? 10-10 doesn't feel like 14-14. It is, but it doesn't feel like it. It doesn't. Even when you know the economy could be fucked for one team, it doesn't feel the same. I don't think it's a good change because of a reason I can't even explain properly. That's the stupidest part about it, is I can't explain why MR15 is better, but I just know from having these two products that one goes to a much more satisfying end.
I think it's a payoff thing. It's like, you know, it's you prefer films to TV shows and things like that. But the reason I prefer TV shows is because you just spend more time with the characters, right? Like 10 episodes, you got 10 hours, you get to know everyone much better. You care more. That's why I prefer TV shows. And I think it's obviously on a smaller scale, but yeah, you have those extra rounds. Of course, it feels like the team that does deserve to win a little bit more than on MR12. But that's why we've got best of threes. Like, that's why we've got best of threes and best of fives and things like that. It's like I cannot get over the fact that games are too long. I think football matches are too long. I think 2 hours is too long. I think, and I'm gonna do the Super League thing. Games are too long. Our fucking attention spans are in the dirt. Like, you can't expect a 15-year-old to sit down, a 15-year-old or an adult who has a job, to sit down for 4 hours and watch a game. We should be optimizing for casual viewers, not people like us. And even people like us don't love doing that anymore.
All I'm saying is, right?
It's too long.
No, all I'm saying is, if they've got TikTok installed on their phone, their opinion isn't worth it. It's not worth it because they are actively destroying their brain and attention span. Fuck them.
That's the audience. That's the audience.
Fuck the audience.
Well, this is
always fuck the
audience.
This
is where you'll end up. This is where you'll end up.
No, the only audience person that should ever matter is the creator.
Right. Okay. Well, see, what I would do is make people pay to watch the games, and then you can do whatever the fuck you want because you've got the paying people who.
Well, I would do that on a seasonal basis, not a per tournament basis. But that could be another episode in the future.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that. The point is, I think. Well, it's just the type of thing. You just, you know, the idea that everything should be free is insane. But anyway, the point is, when it comes to MR12, is that, you know, it's just, I just think there's like, I don't know how else you can't shut Pandora's box. The games, every round now lasts 2-3 minutes, every single round. And when you have 30 rounds, you know what that means. That means 4 hour best of threes because everyone's got a fucking half-time advert break and everyone's got, you know, like 4 timeouts, which is insane. Like, there's an overtime all the time because the economy's so fucked that everyone always has money. So it's just gun around, like fucking playing ping pong with each other. Like, and I just think MR12 would make rounds more exciting because they matter more. Like, that's the ultimate reason that I'm not, like, because I'm like you, I hate change normally. Like, you know, I hate change. But I don't think this is the normal situation of change equals bad. You look like you have something to say.
The games are too long, are they? Boo hoo. Genuine boo hoo. Like, fuck them. They're not too long. And I don't think MR12 will lead to a less is more situation. I really don't think it will, because, like, it'll be so much easier for so many games to be complete blowouts. Like, games that are closer. Like, if you figured out what the equivalent rounds are between CS and Valorant, I promise you a game that is close in CS with the equivalent rounds in Valorant doesn't feel close in Valorant. It doesn't. It doesn't. Like what's a 13-8 in Valorant? A 13-8 in Valorant, what's that in CS? Like,
I don't even know. Oh, that's like a
16-10, 11?
16-10, 16-11. That's like the normal score, right?
Yeah, something like that. That feels closer in CS than in Valorant. And having games be closer makes them more
double-digit bias.
I don't know, but it feels closer. I don't think MR12 is the answer for Counter-Strike. I think doing something with the economy so that it isn't so punishing is the answer. You know, maybe changing the way that the money that the T's get if they plant the bomb and lose the round on pistol. Maybe that's the first thing you do, because that thing is fucking abhorrent.
Dude, $800 is insane. It's insane.
But, like, right now, I just can't. And I hope I'm wrong if it's the future, because I think it will be the future at this point. Because I think when you look at CS2, what you actually see is, I don't want to say it, but you do see Valorant. You do. Like, the game, it's not cartoony, but in terms of art style and its brightness, it's much closer to Valorant. The fucking buy menu is straight out of Valorant. It's atrocious to use. You know, because you don't have CS2 access, but
No,
I do. Yeah, because you're a brickhead. Anyway, sorry, just have to get that one in. The game is so much closer to Valorant, and I don't think a lot of the changes are for the best, because the problem is right, and I know this feeds more into the making MR12 is therefore better because MR15 is even longer still. I know some people, like my cousin, he's 16. I started playing Valorant with them when they were first getting into it because, like, my cousin had just got a PC. It was cool. They thought MR12 Valorant games were too long, and I was playing in bronze, dropping 40 kills a game minimum, and we were winning 13-4, and they thought it was too long. If you think attention spans are fucked, they are, and not to the fucking degree you think they are. It's fucking double that. So this change for that is fucking meaningless. It's fucking meaningless because their attention spans are more fucked than people even think they are.
Yeah, of course, but I think
these TikTok
it's a case of every little helps, and it's a thing of Valve are optimizing for casual players, and casual players, when they click accept, do you remember it always used to say games will last between 30 to 45 minutes? Now you click accept, it's an hour. It's an hour. Every time it's an hour. One game is an hour.
No, I'm pretty sure it used to say 30 to 90 minutes the whole time.
Whatever. But anyway, games did used to last a lot less, and this is the thing where if you're optimizing for casual audience, when you click play, you need to know how long the game roughly is gonna be, because you know you've got to go out in an hour or something. Do you play the game or not? Like these days, you're a bit like I don't know, and I think that will filter in the esports side, and whether it's good or bad, I ultimately think it'll still feel a lot like CS. I think the actual game matters more, and I think the rounds will still, like, maybe less is more is oversimplifying it, whatever. I don't think it's a massive, huge, bad change. I think it'll just trim 10 minutes off of maps. And if you have a best of 3, it'll still feel like you've had your fucking fill of CS for the day. Like that's unequivocal to me. Like no adult sits down and watches the sport for 4 hours. Every sport is 2 hours for a reason. And at the moment, that's only like if you get a very fast 2-0 in CS, that it's 2 hours. Like films that are 3 hours, no one fucking watches them, unless they're like Nolan or something. Like every time I'm about to watch a film with someone, they're like, "How long is it?" 2 hours. Oh, I'll watch it. 3 hours? No chance. Literally no chance. Best of 3 are 4 hours.
True. That's not true.
4 hours.
The 3 hour thing is not true. 3 hour films tend to perform pretty well.
Yeah, because they're the ones you only get greenlit if it's someone with a big name or whatever. But anyway, point is, everything is basically optimized for 2 hours because that's about how long people can sit down and not get bored. Like everything else. And I think MR12's, yeah, you're right. It's probably not going far enough for like the ultra zoomers. It's still going to be more like 3 hours and 2 hours, but that's kind of where we're at. I think it is. I think games are too long. Like, you know how long our days are when we work events, and there's only like 3 best of 3s. It feels like we've been there for like.
Oh yeah, it's fucking.
Like, it's exhausting, but it's
horrible. But it's more because we have so much time just waiting for something to happen that we don't know if it's going to happen or not, because certain players, you know, are fucking babies and just. What was it? Banks said, lazy. No. No, we'll leave that one. He wants that left in the past. We'll leave that in the past. But he had a point. Is all I'm saying. And I do just think that it's actually a big worry to cater to the casual audience, because I've seen games do that. Hard hurt for years.
Valve are doing it.
Catered more to the casual audience. The problem is with esports is that esports succeeds when the casual audience is ignored. If the main like holding up point of your game is it's esport, not that it's, you know, it's fun to jump on for 10 minutes like COD. You can just get a couple friends, go play a couple team death matches, right? Like that was why COD had to focus on the casuals, and that was smart for COD, but it fucking killed their esport. CS isn't that, bro. You're always going to get some fucking casuals. Like, you could sit there with your dad watching fucking Cologne or a Major, and at some point your dad's going to be mildly invested, because that's what CS is like as an esport. That's why CS is so good. Don't fucking cater to the casuals. I know the whole business side of it. I don't need the fucking business side of it explained. But it will hurt the game. It will hurt the quality of the game, and it will hurt the entertainment factor of the game if you cater more to people who don't give a fuck, who jump in, jump out, and it doesn't matter to them. They barely even play the game. They just watch it. Sometimes when they do play it, they play it like the fucking most piss-low people you've ever seen. It will hurt the game if your main focus is appealing to these people, because it's hurt Valorant. It's hurt Valorant. Valorant's fucking viewership for their biggest event of the year is pathetic, because casuals sort of co-stream.
It's reliant on co-streaming. I mean, that when they hit their peak.
Well, yeah, but like even those numbers are down, because Valorant has catered so much to casuals and making it that product, not the esport product, that people just don't care. They don't stay as invested. It's not fucking worth it.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, you convinced me a little bit. I thought I didn't care. I thought it was like, whatever, like, makes games, sure, that's better for me. But you're right, there is something, there's the charm about Counter-Strike that like, I remember the first time I watched a CS game, and I was just like, okay, fucking hell, like, this is way more exciting than any football match I've watched since Brendan Rodgers' Liverpool, which was the best of all time. But, you know, this is where we're at. It's kind of, it's the small things. It is the small things that kind of make something like Counter-Strike special. And maybe MR15 is one of them. I still don't really think it is, but, you know, it'd be nice if it was, wouldn't it? It'd be nice if it was. And yeah, well, we'll see what they do. It does seem very likely that it's going to be MR12, and because of the way majors are funded, that means esports will be MR12. Like, because it'd be lovely if we could just completely be divorced from game developers and just like have a sports body that controls the esports side of the game, and then have Valve cater to casuals as much as they want. But that will always be esports' kryptonite, is that we're controlled by game developers who essentially, like, the esport is great if there's a good esport for them. Like, it makes them lots of money, like, especially with Valve and stickers. Like, talk about how much players make from stickers. Well, Valve get 50%, so they're getting a lot more. But it's like, but ultimately it is that the game itself and skins will make way more money than the esports side, even including stickers. And as soon as they cater to that, like, if it's a way up between esports side and like the 95% of players who are just like playing for a few games after school or something, like, it's hard for them to justify going for the esports side. It is. And at some point we'll probably just have to accept that. We're going to become like Richard Lewis and Foreign and be the people who love the good old days. Like, we already are a little bit. Like, it's I think it's some of that. Like, you don't want to lose the magic, but is this part of the magic? Maybe. I think the soul of CS will still be there, even if it's MR12.
I think it probably is part of the magic. Like I said earlier, it's not. It doesn't feel like something that's exactly quantifiable. Like, I wish it was, but I've spent fucking all morning and all last night thinking about it. I can't quantify it. I was speaking to people who also have been into CS and Valorant. I was speaking to people who have just been into Valorant, and they all find Valorant far more entertaining than I do. But they do kind of agree. Like, there's something there that makes CS a little more special, and I do believe that it's tied to MR15. Like, I just think that is a very important thing, because games just feel like they fucking end in Valorant. They don't feel like they've fucking gone to anything. Like,
just because you're used to CS, though, a little bit.
I spent months with Valorant at one point, and it's not something I ever got used to. Like, it just, I don't know, it doesn't feel the same. But before we go, I wanted to pose a question to you. Do you think there's any teams that will be actually quite majorly affected by this change?
I mean, FaZe have less time to procrastinate, don't they? But they've not been getting their fucking homework in for months, so I don't know. I don't know. I genuinely, I'm not too sure. I don't think so. I think rounds will matter less, which means economy management will matter less. Maybe like VP have to go for fewer retakes. Like, that's kind of the idea as well. Like, something we didn't touch on is MR12 should mean that saving is worse because you've got less time to play with. Like, that point on Inferno when it's 12-12 and people stop playing Inferno like it's Inferno and go for retakes, and it's suddenly like the great map everyone seems to think it is. Like, it's only the great map at 12-12 when saving becomes bad. And I think MR12, that point comes a little bit earlier. Like that, and that might change the way some teams play, but I don't know. We'll have to see. I don't think it's a huge change because there's so many gun rounds already. Like, it's...
Well,
I don't think it's major for teams.
Where Valorant worked around trying to prevent saving because they actually made it economically bad to save in a lot of cases.
But I'd hate that as well, because there's nothing worse in CS than watching someone try and die on purpose. That's the worst thing in CS.
Which also sucks. Like, it is bad, but maybe there is a healthy middle ground that I think, given on how stupid the Valorant devs can be at points, I think the CS devs would be more likely to find a workaround, but maybe not, because they also made smokes that clear with grenades. So who knows? But yeah, I think that's a good jumping off point for us, unless you've got anything else you want to say.
No, I'm happy.
So I guess with that, let us know down below. What's your thoughts on MR12? Is it a good change? Does it worry you? Were you even around long enough to watch MR12 when it was a thing before? And if you are, what the fuck are you still doing watching Counter-Strike? But like the video, subscribe to the channel. We're back now. We'll stay back until Harry decides he's too good for us again.
Right.
But I've been Sam Animo Mackenzie. He's been Parry Piero Pitchards. And we'll see you in the next one.